Hello, I'm David Ellenstein, Artistic Director at North Coast Repertory Theater. Thank you for joining us today for Theater Conversations. If you enjoy watching these, please click like, subscribe, and share. It's free to do, and it helps us get more visibility for these videos. Thank you. Hello, it's my pleasure today to welcome to Theater Conversations my friend, the extraordinarily talented Jacquelyn Ritz. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, David.
Did I embarrass you to start?
You're so kind. Thank you.
Oh, well,
Really
you
nice.
are too. You know what? You are too.
Oh, thanks.
So those of you that attend North Coast Rep have seen Jackie on our stage many, many times. I remember the first time she came in and auditioned at an open call.
I was thinking about that today too.
And you had just moved here from Chicago, or very recently.
Very recently, it was my, I believe, my first audition in San Diego.
And I went, who is this woman and how come I've never seen her before? I want to use her.
I remember you saying, and this happens to me, it's happened to me that year a couple of times, you in particular said, who are you?
Right.
What are you doing here? And I had, and then I told you a little bit about myself, and I said, and I have 3 kids, and Rosina was sitting next to you, and she went, 3?
So just to get everybody up to speed a little bit, I cast you fairly soon after that. I believe you were in Fallen Angels was the first one. Is that right?
With the Load of Mischief was my first one.
Was that before Fallen Angels?
Was.
Man with a Load of Mischief was first.
Do you remember that far back? Yeah.
Well, of course I remember that far back, but I got my plays out of, I've been here too long. I got my plays out of order here. Okay, so Man with a, and then was Fallen Angels next?
Yes.
And then I'm going to jump way ahead and say the most recent one was Bloomsday.
That was just this year.
When Bloomsday, which is just passed again this year.
Yes.
Although when this is showing, it might have been a little while. And I'm going to see if I can remember. I know there was Fox on the Fairway.
I wrote them down somewhere.
Did you really?
I did, because I had a feeling. I watched a few of your interviews. I had a feeling you'd ask.
And you've also assistant directed Laughter on the 23rd Floor.
Yeah.
And there was another one that you acted in. I'm trying to remember. It was a Neil Simon.
What was that play called? An amazing cast.
Oh, well, I remember your co-star was really something.
He really was terrific.
He really was. And that was chapter 2. And you and I played Jenny and Georgie, right? And it's funny because I was thinking about it because I knew we were going to be talking today, and how sometimes things that happen in plays like stick with you for the rest of your life. Like you're always going to be Jenny Malone to me, and I'm probably always in some ways going to be George to you because you have an amazing husband, right?
You.
Tom Doherty,
who
was an actor.
Wonderful, intelligent wife.
I have a wonderful, intelligent wife, but yet we had to fall in love on stage and play that whole imagined reality.
Right.
And that's one of the, would you talk a little bit about that? How do we do that?
Right. I mean, I think it's like all the roles that we do, we tap into something in us that we understand that journey, right?
Yeah.
Tap into, oh, I understand what it's like to be a mother. Oh, I understand what it's like to fall in love unexpectedly. I understand, on a mental level, and then we just allow ourselves to go there emotionally. And luckily it was he's such a great writer. Neil Simon's such a great writer. And he writes real human beings that are having real struggles. And we had a great cast to work with. We got to work with each other. And then we had Mari and Lewis, and everybody was just so present. And when all of those things, I think, are there and ready for you to jump into, it just happens. Didn't you feel that?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like we would step into the play and 2 hours and 15 minutes later, it would be over.
Yep.
And all we had to do was show up and listen and understand emotionally. And it was beautiful. It was fast. It would go so fast for me.
What did I miss? Did I say all the shows at North Coast? Did I skip?
No, we talked about chapter 2 and how you fall in love on stage, and you just allow it, right?
Right.
Just allow it.
So,
So what else?
Did we skip one?
Fox on the Fairway, Laughter. We did Sherlock.
Sherlock and the Adventure of the Great Gnome Gold Rush. You played Mrs. Wyatt Earp.
I did. I played Josie Earp.
Josie Earp and also Mrs. Hudson, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God, remember working on that Scottish dialect? That's brutal.
Right. So Jackie, you're not from San Diego originally.
There was a couple others.
Oh, what else did we forget?
Yes. Oh, How the Other Half Loves.
Of course. How the Other Half Loves, the Alan Ayckbourn comedy, which was so funny. And you were great in it.
Jeffrey Sherman.
Jeffrey Sherman, our dear friend, yes. Yeah. You're not from San Diego originally.
I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Right. You want to say how your path got you here? I mean, what course you took?
Yeah. So, I grew up there with I think that's part of the path too. They were my parents and family. I mean, I had a big family, 7 kids, 6 girls, my parents. Very loving, very loud, very emotional. I was the second youngest of all of those. So I had a lot of time to just watch the chaos ignite around me. And people thought I there were reports of me being a very shy child. But I always had a very active imagination, and I loved stories, and I loved the words, and I loved music. I loved the poetry of songs. So for some reason, all of those things kind of clicked together. And I remember getting one of those personality tests when I was in middle school, and it said, this person should become a performing artist. And everybody was looking at it going, she's so shy. How can that happen? And then I ended up, getting my undergrad at University of Colorado. And I had been doing theater along the way. I enjoyed, doing shows in middle school, doing shows in high school. I happened to get leads just, I think, because I loved words so much, and I loved the storytelling, and I loved that feeling of jumping into a play and letting it ride, and the creativity that came with that.
Was there one of those early ones that made you go, yes, I'm definitely going to continue doing this?
No, I didn't think I was going to continue doing it.
Oh.
I mean, there were magical experiences. I remember doing Godspell. Any kid who's ever done Godspell, it's like they take all the rules away, and you just do improv for 2 hours. And you're doing it with a bunch of people who are dressed silly and making funny noises. And I remember the audition for that. It was at a different school than my own. It was a different high school than my own. And the drama teacher was amazing. And she said, we're just going to do improv games, and that's how we're going to cast this show. And I felt so unleashed. I felt so free. It was remarkable. It's so funny now. My son, my oldest, is going into his senior year, and he's about to be the captain of their improv team. So it's something that's deep in the Ritz and Doherty bones. But yeah, so there was that experience. But then when I went to college, I thought, okay, I'm going to do something, responsible. I'm going to get into communications. I thought maybe I'd do news. I had a sister who was a journalist, and I got into an acting class, and the acting teacher was like, who are you? Again, that question, who are you? Because I didn't start acting there until I think I was a junior maybe. And the teacher said, I have this BFA program. Would you like to audition for it? And I thought, no, yes, I do. And then I got into that program. And then after that, everything kind of takes off. When you make that decision, I think in college to pursue whatever your career is. And then I went to graduate school.
Where did you go?
I went to the Oslo Conservatory.
In Sarasota.
In Sarasota, yeah.
Right.
And then I moved to Chicago, and that was a huge kind of arena of just play. I mean, when you're that young and you have nothing to lose, right? It's like King of the Mountain. If you have nothing to lose, you're putting it all out there. And
is that where you met Tom in Chicago?
I did. I met my husband in Chicago.
In a play?
We met at an audition. He was actually dating someone else. And
she's listening in.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But no, we didn't. I had some good friends that were good friends of his. And then we just kept running into each other. And then we met at another audition. And it was which I actually got that. He didn't get it. No, I should say he was doing a show at Chicago Shakespeare. So, he was an actor for a long time. He was doing a show at Chicago Shakespeare. And I went up and chatted with him there. Then we met friends, blah, 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 blah. We met at another audition. He finally asked me out. I remember saying, because he had invited me to go, Chicago does that free Shakespeare in the Parks. Barbara Gaines used to do that. I don't know if she still does it. But he called me up and he left a message. This is back when we all had landlines, right? And he said, a bunch of us are going to see Romeo and Juliet down at the Grant Park. Do you want to go? And I kept playing it back to my roommate going, is he asking me on a date? Is this the date? Well, it was a date, yeah. And now we're married and we have 3 kids. 22 years on Friday.
Congratulations. That is great. Friday, what day is Friday?
19th, Juneteenth.
Okay, so we're 1 week after you. We're going to be 27 years, I think. 26,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you're 5 years ahead.
5 years ahead.
Oh.
So in Chicago, you had some pretty great experiences doing theater, including working on a new Stephen Sondheim show with Stephen there, right?
Steve,
what was that like?
It was
talk a little bit about that.
I was just thinking about that. Well, Hal Prince was the director, and John Weidman was the writer, and Stephen Sondheim was the composer and lyricist. And I remember the first day of rehearsal and Hal saying, I just need to make one quick announcement. I hate timid acting. Said, bring it out. Let me rein it in. You throw out everything you've got and I will help guide you. And that was such a wonderful thing to hear on the first day, to know that you were coming into something to create something and they all wanted you to bring your best game. And that's what it was like for me working with those people and the people that they assembled. David Caddick was the musical director. And I mean, it was this feeling of everybody came in ready to throw their best work in every day. And there's something really remarkable, again, freeing about that. Not feeling like you're honed into anything or you have to be a certain way. It was a new piece. We were creating something, they had done some readings of it, but it was really a new, almost.
What was it called?
It was called Bounce. I think it was originally called Gold when we were cast. I think it's gone on to become Roadshow now. But we did a cast album. I mean, we performed it at the Goodman for a long time. We reworked some things over the summer. We took it to the Kennedy Center. And we did it there. And you should know I did this with my husband. Did you know that?
I did not.
He and I were both in it. I'll send you a picture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll show it right now.
Oh, okay, good. It was, and Michelle Pock was in it, and Howard McGillen, and Richard Kind, and all of these people, and Gavin Creel, who's gone on to win awards in London. And you just sat there in this room with these people and said, okay, we're doing this. We're all going to do our best. And that's what our day is going to be every day. And it was invigorating.
That's fantastic. So what made you come to San Diego?
I think it was after I'd had the 3rd baby. And I said, this Chicago winter is a bit much for me. That's part of it. I think the other part was, again, I got to go back to my family and always knowing that, because I'm one of those weird, I don't see a lot of me. I don't see a lot of women with 3 children doing a couple of contracts a year in the theater. It's hard to do, I think. I think it's hard to balance having kids, wanting to be there for them, also wanting to show that, especially my daughter, that you need to have a life too. You need to involve yourself in the community, in your career, in the things that drive you and make you who you are. But going back to kind of that love of family and knowing that I was always going to be not only an artist and a working person and hopefully a mother, that really has been what my journey is, I think. So when I knew that my sister lived here and I wanted to be around my family and I wanted to be in a place that was just easier to raise kids, honestly, at that time. And I didn't realize, I think, how daunting it would be to start in a completely new market. And I didn't know what San Diego was like. My 15 years in Chicago, there was so much theater. I could easily go to 3 auditions a day, or 4. And I got my SAG card there. And I did I did commercials, and I did, you know, film, and I did theater and musicals and straight plays. And it was just, there was a lot there. It's been, so it's been an interesting kind of journey, figuring out a new market and that kind of thing.
So you just brought up that you've done musicals and straight plays. Can you talk about the different satisfaction in doing those two different kinds of things? You've kind of done, even at North Coast, you've done across the gamut. You've done dramas, comedies, and musicals. So what's the different satisfaction, and do you have a preference?
The one I'm doing at the time.
I always say too.
Yeah. I think I like what Jackie Wilkie said, which is, you know, your voice is an instrument, and if you don't keep it up, you can't just call on it any moment. It's like anything that you do. But I do love singing. I've always loved music. I think music is very emotional for me. It creates kind of a tone and a sense of something outside of just regular old things. There's a poetry to it, and I love singing. I love working on my voice. It's just, it's a time-consuming thing. If you're not singing an hour a day, you know, are you really ready? I mean, I've gone to many auditions at the Globe because they see my resume and they know that I can sing, but if you don't keep it up, you're not going to go in and sound like you used to sound. Thank you. I was an English major too for a while.
Yeah, but you're not practicing that either, so you're allowed to make mistakes.
Thank God. Thank you. But I love doing comedy. I was listening to Paul Slade-Smith when you interviewed him for these conversations. And he was, and you know, I worked with Paul. You know the story, right? I was at his wedding. Yeah. And he and Aaron and Tom and I would hang out. We would do game parties and all, back when I would have parties. But he spoke of the unexpected. And that's what is so wonderful about comedy. And I love that. I love doing that with my kids. I love it when they surprise me. It's just, there's a joy, there's a spark to comedy, you know, that you don't have maybe in other types of theater. And then drama is just so rich. You know, you really have a chance to say something deeper. I remember the talk back. Do you remember this for chapter 2? So we're at the talk back for chapter 2, and the woman was sitting in the audience, and she had tears coming down her face, and we were all kind of sitting there, and it was a moving experience, I think, for all of us. It was a journey for sure. But she said, I didn't know that anyone else felt that way. And that was a moment that I felt so connected as an artist, because that's what it is for me. It's the connection to other human beings. That's one of the reasons I love theater. And when you do, and granted, I think chapter 2, they would call it a dramedy, perhaps, maybe not a full-on drama, but there was a depth to it that, you know, when people understand that sense, that loss, or that overcoming something, being through something.
I think it was one of Neil Simon's first really autobiographical things where he was channeling, you know, his relationship with Marsha Mason.
Yes.
A bit for the play. And so people felt it was his most, to that point, most personal play in his career. So we've been talking about everything you've done at North Coast, but you've done lots of other stuff around San Diego since you've been here. Not only as an actor, but also you've been spreading your wings as a director.
I have been loving it.
About that?
Yeah, I have been loving it. I was supposed to be directing right now a play called Vanity Fair by Kate Hamill, which I was really excited about because I pitched it. You know, we're in this bizarre time, this 2020, which is going to go down in the history books as a remarkable time. I think of it, I've heard people say the great pause, and now it's a time of change and action and advocacy. And that's always been really important to me. I think because I'm a woman in a field that is predominantly male, especially, you know, wanting to go off into Shakespeare, and that really not, I had some opportunities, but not, you know, as many, because the numbers were just not there. You know, it's just something that happens. But I think this, you know, as I'm sitting here in June of 2020, thinking about how important advocacy is for me, and it was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do a play that could be cast with any kind of person, any gender, any color, any age. And they would just create, it's 35 characters. It's Vanity Fair. It's 35 characters. Most of you probably know the book, right? Spans 10 years or something. So there's 35 characters. Everybody except for the two main women play at least 5 characters, right? And I just wanted to see other people represented on the stage. I wanted to see, as we all want to, we all kind of are interested. What can happen if we start, I don't know, if we start showing what the world really looks like on the stage all the time. And I think that's been an important thing for me.
Right, I get that. And also as an artist, as an actor, for me anyway, one of the great joys of being an actor was to play things that were nothing like me.
Exactly.
And to get the opportunity to step out of who you are and actually embody what somebody else experiences that's different than yours, and find the similarities and the differences.
And that's, I think I was reading this, that's the definition of maturity, is being able to see the world through different perspectives. So we get a chance to do that when we see the world through different eyes.
So maybe that's why all of us immature people went into the theater, so we could.
Maybe we could grow up. Yeah, so directing a lot has been incredibly fulfilling, especially this play and the last one I got to pitch myself, which is so interesting because the other 2 that I directed for them.
Them is Scripps Ranch?
Scripps Ranch Theater, thank you, Jill. Yeah, Jill Drexler has been a great advocate for me, and I need to give a shout out for her. As you, because you included me and you said, I know you want to direct, Jackie, and would you like to assist Tom Marcus and be the assistant director on Laughter on the 23rd Floor? Learned so much from him. And he actually was the one that said to me, so great, you're ready. How are we going to get you your own play?
There you go.
And then Jill stepped up. And I think because of Annie Hinton, another person that I met through theater, she advocated for me. And Jill said, who wants to direct right now? And Annie Hinton said, Jacquelyn Ritz wants to direct right now. So I got a call. And yeah, this would have been my 4th play for them, Vanity Fair.
So once we come out of this,
yeah.
out of this COVID shutdown,
right.
What are your dreams? What are your hopes? What do you hope in the next 3 to 5 years you're going to get to do? What are you shooting for? What do you want to do?
I'm one of those lucky people that's kind of sitting in a sweet spot where I'm raising my kids and I'm doing theater and I get to work with lovely people. I want to keep doing it and I want to keep getting better. I want to direct. I was supposed to do an acting class. That was one thing I was really looking forward to. It was supposed to start in April, which we didn't get to do, but hopefully that'll come up. Yeah, I want to continue to act. I want to continue to direct. I want to continue to read great things and hopefully make a difference and advocate for people who have advocated for me. That's going to be something I think that this great pause has helped me kind of reflect on and say, that's something that I want to do. I want to stand up for people who have had a voice. Maybe, you know me. I mean, we talked about this. We talked about this at lunch with Lewis and back when they used to call it affirmative action. Remember that in the 90s? And I was like, I was a fan of that. I was like one of the few people that said, I think it's time that we start bringing up people who haven't had opportunities and show the world as it is, because we all need to be represented. There's my little political.
Well, I'm so happy we did this today, and getting to reunite with Jenny Malone is always a good thing.
Oh, so, George.
Place in my heart for my life. So it's great to see you, and I hope I get to see you in person very soon, and this doesn't drag on forever, and we can get back to working together again on stage too. Anyway, thanks so much for doing this today, and I miss you.
I miss you too. Thank you for all you do.
We'll see you soon.
Fun. All right.
Bye.
Take care.